Hey, welcome friends to another episode of the show. I'm Joe, and truly these episodes are the best part of they're what I get to do. Sometimes you have to do things. I had to do dishes last night. Miss Becky said, "Would you please do the dishes?" But these are things that I get to do. Today we are joined by one of the most captivating educational innovators in the great state of Michigan, a competitive beard judge, a world-class jump roper, an author, EdTech pioneer, and just an all-around really good human. Please welcome Dr. Don Killingbeck, superintendent of Hemlock Public Schools. Welcome to the show, Don.
Well, thank you, Dr. Joe. Felt like I should be looking around like, who is he talking about with that introduction? And I'm humbled by that.
Yes, well, very, very apropos. You're making some really incredible strides across Michigan's landscape. We're both Midwesterners, so it's just good to be able to talk. Like attracts like, right? That's just kind of a
Mhm.
common principle. We're
We
like,
we definitely root for different teams, though,
well,
right?
you know what? All that stuff aside, you're leading a mid-sized district with this powerful mission to innovate and collaborate and educate and proudly clean your plate after you ate. I don't know, all the eights, right?
You get the theme, right?
Definitely. And
Yeah.
this innovative award, you just keep stacking up these innovation awards, and I think that's a culture that a leader brings to a system. Tell me a little bit about what it is like to be the superintendent of that amazing organization today.
It's an amazing ride, and the team here really has worked hard over the last decade and leaned in. I remember when I started, we rolled up our sleeves. We had budget problems, we had HR issues, we had a lot to work on. We had facility issues, and a decade plus later,
Mm.
in the same people, lots of hard work, great board, great vision on what we need to do, and it's just about it's that old saying like, hey, you can accomplish anything if nobody's worried about who gets the credit. And
Amen.
so I just get fortunately have the title of being the superintendent, but it's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work.
Yeah, that title comes fully equipped with all the complexities and accountability, right?
Mhm. Right.
Who wants that?
Right.
Tag you're it, dude.
Yeah.
You are it. Before we get into like the business, I gotta
Mhm.
ask you about that thing that just makes you really approachable, and it's all that hair on your face. So, you live in a pretty, or generally would you say a small town, mid-sized
Yeah, oh
town?
yeah, it's a rural small town, feel. We are the roots of it is a German Lutheran background. So
Okay,
German
tell me
Lutheran
about
farmers.
sawdust days.
Yeah, so Sawdust Days is this, the hardware started it like 45 years ago or so, and it just gathers people from all over, bigger than our community. And we have a couple nights where we have an entertainment tent. We have a couple days where, there's vendors and there's things for the kids to do, a car show. And in one of my favorite things, so about a decade ago, the board president at the time came to me and said, "Hey, would you be our beer judge? And would you be one of the beer judges?" And I kind of like paused, and she said, the magic was there was a weather girl that was going to be one of the other beer judges, and every mid-aged guy had a crush on this way. I mean, like I would talk to my wife and be like, "Isn't she just so cute?"
That
It
is so not fair. It's so not
Yeah,
fair, and honestly, no credibility for being a beer judge. In my world,
no,
I would just argue.
exactly. So I'm like, "Hey, I'm in," and she canceled at the last minute. And so I was like, "Okay, I'm here alone," like with a couple other. There's a couple other big judges in the area or whatever. And so, um, in long story short, actually, my own beard, which is kind of a baby beard in competition world, grew because I was working on my PhD, I was working on my doctorate, my EDD, and in 50% failure rate, right? That's what they preach to us. Hey, everybody's going to fail. And I'm in the last 5 months of the program. And I looked in the mirror and I realized I had a little bit more than my normal stubble. And I said, I'm not going to shave until I finish. And lo and behold, I finished the week before the beard competition. And so I never told people that I was in a doctorate program.
Hmm.
And I just was like, hey, I'm not going to broadcast this. And I get all the way through and finish. And I just would tell people, like, I'm a beard judge. This is like my fifth or sixth annual beard competition. I'm just growing it up out for the competition. And that's how the beard
That is great.
became. And yeah, so the Sawdust Days is just an amazing, fun time in our community.
We might have to, like, steal you. We have lumberjack days here in Minnesota, so and I don't know if we have a beard judging contest, so I'm not sure what your rates are, but I might be, like, circling back. Okay, let's get into something that a little more weighty right now. You
Mhm.
described your
Mhm.
work, um, as a superintendent, not as a JOB, not as a
Mhm.
JOB, but more, this calling which
Yeah.
it comes from this term vocari if you study it, and it
Mhm.
has some real deep, purpose-filled, meaning to it. Tell us a little bit about how your work is not a job, but a calling.
Yeah, so for me, and it's kind of usually you talk about it in those terms because I have a young adult at my home. We have four kids, and I have one of them that's like, hey, he's trying to figure out how to launch, how to get, what's the next step. I gotta choose my major. I gotta go, and for me. The work of the school superintendent or principal or teacher or parapro or custodian, if it's done right, it's or any job that we have, if it's done right, you feel called to do that work. You feel there's a purpose
Yeah,
behind it. And so for me, every day I come to work, there's a greater sense of why I'm here and what we're doing. And it just it I look back and I go, you had almost like a pastor's call to ministry. I
right.
feel I felt the calling into education. And I know that's one of the fivefold, you know, uh, in that same realm, and I feel like there's a call to leadership as well.
Right, right, absolutely, and you're not alone. I bump into just some real virtuous people that are in the work and doing amazing things, and because of that calling, oftentimes it lifts the burden. Not
Mhm,
to say that your work isn't any less challenging, but it lifts the burden of kind of the things that we bump into, like, what am I trying to prove? Right?
mhm.
Just that where we preserve
Right.
ourselves, or what am I just, like, crazy afraid of right now? Or,
Mhm,
what am I trying to hide from? Because those are all
mhm,
real live things that every superintendent. I work a bit in higher ed, so college presidents as well, they have to show up as
mhm.
bulletproof. But if it's a calling, it's just a liberated freedom, isn't it?
And 100%.
Yeah,
Just being able to go, "Hey, you know what? If this day job doesn't work out, there's going to be something else that I'm supposed to be doing." And, just knowing that at the end of the day, that you're here and you're an instrument, in the process.
yeah. Let's talk about ed technology because
Mhm,
that's the brand of this small little district that you're running today. You've got some
mhm.
of your students, your learners at Worlds. Where
Right, right.
Worlds
So
Robotics?
yeah.
Is that in
So
Germany or Ohio?
No,
Where?
so the World's, it's in Houston. It's been in
Okay.
Houston for a number of years, and we loved it when it was in Detroit. But there's teams all over the world that are in Houston, Texas today, and our school, we launched a team in 2015, and we've been to Worlds multiple times. I think it's 9 times to compete at the highest level. Last year, our team was the 2024 state champions for our state of Michigan.
Oh,
And so competing at that high level, recently I wrote a poem. Dr. Joe, our robot is just so beautiful moving, and wrote a poem, and it's on our district's LinkedIn. And just watching our robot, but then I stepped back, and when I decided, hey, I'm going to work on a poem, um, I stepped back behind the drivers and was watching the drivers control the robot, and I was talking to them as they're doing it, And it is just it's grace. It's like it's watching a ballerina on the stage, the movements, and, I will say the control keys don't look that graceful. You know, they're punching and moving and stuff, and then you look out there and it's just gliding. And it's kind of like what we do as leaders, right? You
Yeah.
know, we're working hard behind the scenes, and then if it's done right, it normally looks smooth.
Well,
So,
it's that fluid, yeah, the fluidity, if you will. I'll just stay on that theme for a moment. So not only tech ed integration and how you're involving your staff, so you're not just on the cutting edge. You might be bringing some ideas, but you're real quick to pass on the opportunities and create the conditions for your people to be successful. And where I see you and why this invitation showed up is because I see you everywhere
hmm.
on social. You seem to be a guy that just understands how to, unless you've just hired this a media presence and you got 5 people that work in that department and
No.
just follow you around. How
Oh.
tell me about what are your kind of your daily practices of making sure that you're amplifying all of the amazing things that are happening through this beautiful thing called social media.
Yeah, so from a district standpoint, I appreciate it. We are a national award-winning communications. For the most of the time I've been here, the communications department was apartment of one, which was me. Right now I have a mom that works with us, super talented. She's a graphic designer, self-trained, and she comes in. I think it's 10 hours a week and helps with our communications and some of our designs and things like that. But we're focused, and so we think about like what are some pressure points, and then we back that up and what do we need to communicate.
Mm,
Um, we've had snafus. I'm not going to kid you. You know, we'll post something and somebody will take it the wrong way, and then we got to backtrack and rework it. But a lot of times we're thinking 3 months, 6 months, a year, sometimes up to 2 years out on a narrative and a communication that we want to build up. You know, for example, a lot of times schools. Get beat up about their management of finances. And so they're not good stewards type of, story that gets spinned out there. And so we worked for 2 years about telling the story. I mean, we continue to work every day on this, but telling the story about being good stewards. And whether that be we're a better investment than Bitcoin, our credit rating has gone up again, clean audits, things that people don't go, "Oh, that's really sexy. That's attractive," type of
yeah,
communication. We actually lean in and we're gonna say, like, we're gonna tell the story, and work through that over a course of a couple of years so that people do understand, and of course, people
beautiful.
forget, so you gotta
Right.
keep going back. I think the other thing too for us um, is taking the mundane and making it interesting and exciting. So I don't know if you've seen this, Dr. Joe, but every school has to communicate every fall, every start of the year, how to do drop off and pick up. And so we were getting beat up year after year about like the first couple weeks, everybody's mad, the parking lot's uncontrollable, it's difficult, and how do you get in and out? And so one Saturday, I'm sitting at home, I got my TV on in my garage, I'm cleaning, and all of a sudden, somehow, the carpool karaoke shows up on my TV on YouTube, right? And all of a sudden it's playing, it was Adele, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this is cool." And I watched the episode, I watched the next episode, and I can't remember James's last name, but, all of a sudden I'm like, "You know what? We're gonna do carpool karaoke."
On
And
Monday.
yes, and I'm like, in a minimal investment, like a couple mounts for my car, um, I signed up my administrator, said, "Hey, meet me at my car at this time." Didn't really tell him a whole lot. I said, "We're doing carpool karaoke. Meet here at this time, and we're gonna be talking about pickup and drop off." I got him into the pickup, the cameras are rolling, and we're singing, and I told him, "Send me your favorite song."
Oh,
Got the
nice.
carpool or the karaoke version of that, and we sang, and they sang off key. I can't sing at all, but we told the story about drop off and pickup, and we embedded it in the carpool karaoke. And several thousand views later, when a parent in week 2 was like, "Drop off and pickup is crazy. You people are nuts," whatever, type of thing. The Facebook moms lit that guy up.
Oh my gosh.
It because they were like, "Didn't you
Perfect.
watch the episode?
Yeah, it was the one
Didn't you?"
right after the bloodborne pathogen one, you
Right,
know?
right, yes, you know exactly what I'm talking. So, like, how do we
Exactly.
make that one exciting, you know?
Right.
But so, like, we
Love
took
it.
something so mundane, leaned into it, and made it fun. Our principals are just great people, and so they're telling the story. We did 4 episodes. We've done it twice now. We'll probably do it a 3rd season, and by doing that, creating that level of excitement around the start of school, started, if we just put drop off and pick up information in an email
In the
or in
newsletter.
in the
Yeah.
newsletter, nobody's paying attention,
And they're laying on their horns just like everybody else on that,
right?
but you've decided you made some choices to just differentiate yourself from the noise, which is
Mhm.
how we normally do things. I believe in campus culture and how powerful campus culture is. Yes, in promoting all that is good and productive about your system, but even more so, it's hard to find the right people to
Mhm.
bring into a school system that that are the right people, because I also believe that education is a calling. It's not for every
Right.
the principalship isn't for everybody. The superintendent, it's not for everybody. But if you've got a culture that keeps your best people and attracts more of the same, that's
Mhm.
never accidental. It's always
Right.
very, very intentional, and it might be just a creative moment in the garage watching, and it just adds and it creates this almost this idea cycle that every once in a while you have to edit some things out, that this no longer
Mhm.
fits who we are, and we continuously improve our culture and you keep your best people. Oh,
Yes.
isn't that so true?
Oh, that's so true. So true. You just nailed it.
Cool. I wish we had like 4 more hours and ordered Domino's
We could
pizza.
pull a Joe Rogan. Isn't his
We
his
we're
episodes
not.
4 hours?
You're also a school superintendent, which means I think you probably have a line of people outside of
Oh,
that
we
that
do.
door of
The
yours.
back hatch right behind my desk is,
There it
there's a
is.
line right there.
We've talked about a lot of things that are just like really good and productive and easy to talk about, but leading an education today, it's just filled with I call it VUCA, right? Just the
Mhm.
volatility, like you said,
Mm.
um, the uncertainty, the just the conflict, the friction, the tension, the know-it-allism, the all the things that come fully equipped. And people tuning in today probably are also weighted down by, huh,
Mhm.
end of the week. I of all people, I need you to just deliver your best pep talk for that person listening in right now that is maybe saying, this calling for a superintendent, calling should come with joy. I'm not seeing the joy. I'm just not finding the joy. This has been a hard year. What would
Oh,
you just square up and share with that person?
I'd say give me a call.
Yeah,
One of the things I think in this role, the pep talk, is make sure you have community. Make sure you have somebody outside your district, outside of your home, that you can talk to about the work you're doing. And I think that I've been blessed to have people
mm,
that were willing to be an ear,
mm.
and just listen, non-judgmental, and say like, "Hey, I know what you're going through. You know what? It's kind of, it's Holy Week, and and we've got Good Friday tomorrow, and Sunday's coming." And I think that's a thing
Perfect
that we gotta
metaphor.
all remember
Perfect metaphor.
is regardless of what, your worst days, better days are ahead. And so if you're in a difficult spot, just remember that, keep moving forward, keep doing the right things, and good things will happen.
A leader of hope. A leader of hope, folks. Dr. Don, thank you for
Oh,
just showing us what hope looks like and what thoughtful, student-centered leadership look, what innovation looks. You've just given us lots of really good looks today. And for our viewers, Hemlock public schools. It's a place, maybe a little blip on your map, but you should probably check them out. They've got a culture that's driving some unbelievable performance, and we cheer on your kiddos today at Worlds, and just all the best to you as you finish out this school year. Don, thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Joe.
Yeah. This has been the show reminding you that everyone deserves to live in a community. That's our equity statement. Your people in your community. It's across your curb, folks. It's not about your district. It's about what's across the curb of that district. They deserve for your teams to be really, really healthy and your systems to be crazy reliable. So if you've pulled anything of value from this, hit that like button, leave a comment below, share the episode with a friend that needs that pep talk that Dr. Don just teed up, because that was good. And we're not going to ask him for his phone number, but maybe he'll figure out a way that you can actually just give him a call. So until next time, peace and press on, good friends.